Erica Maloney had quite a traditional upbringing. Her Mexican parents raised her to be well-mannered. Although she was only 4 at the time, she didn't really comprehend what that meant. She was aware of her father's cautious attitude when dealing with the police, and her mother's poise in public were something that she had witnessed growing up. Did Erica understand the message quickly? She was merely a visitor in this place and not supposed to stay for long. Even though she had 2 Mexican parents, there wasn't much to be done. Apart from the cooking her mother did and her father's love for soccer, Erica had minimal knowledge about what it really meant to be Mexican. Growing up as an only child in a prejudicial neighborhood, she had to face several issues that shaped her fascination with the country. Despite being deprived of having siblings, she still managed to find hope solace outside of her environment. Even though she was retired, she still had hope that her lifelong dream would become a reality. All her efforts finally paid off on her 70th birthday when a few of her old customers hired her again for accounting services. This provided the perfect opportunity to fulfill the goal that she'd been keeping at the back of her mind all these years. Erica had moved upstate and into a tiny home. Apparently it was supposed to make a smaller footprint on the environment. She also owned 2 small pugs, Pepper and Candy. Erica, ever since she moved out of her home state, saved up every little penny and dollar she earned. This way she could afford not only the plane ticket, but to pay her bills and the pets that her while she was away. Erica, after saving up, finally decided to purchase a first class. It wasn't to feel superior or privileged, but because she heard they had better Wi-Fi. She was definitely treating the trip to Mexico as a vacation, but until she got there, she needed a way to continue working on her brand new laptop. Granted, she was still trying to figure out how to use a darn thing still. She wanted the best for her clients. She was a rather hard-working woman ever since she was 9. Her mindset was set for high standard. She strove to be her best self in all matters possible using whatever tools she had at her disposal. Erica studied what she did not understand, beat the English language or animals, but there was one subject that fascinated her more than anything: mathematics, numbers, division, multiplication, fractions. It was also complicated and she enjoyed it. When her teachers noticed her grades improving at the next open house, her parents were praised for raising such a smart. This small booster of pride caused her parents to turn from authoritative to authoritarian. Instead of allowing their daughter to watch TV while eating dinner, they ordered her to eat as fast as possible so that she may quickly get back to studying. Although Erica's strict homestyle brought stress going into middle school and high school, she was nonetheless appreciative of her parents. After all, they were doing this for her own well. Her proficiency with math allowed her to take serious advanced courses in geometry and calculus. Despite her ability of quick thinking, Erica, straight from her math classes in lines, grade. Instead, she became entranced with accounting. The concept of evaluating and categorizing numbers gives great insight into a person's life based solely on their. Erica got to see success and failure with every ledger T account or pivot table. It's telling a story when her parents found out they were more or less supportive. Being an accountant is a fairly respectable job. Computers are the future, they'd say. However, they were also slightly disappointed by the news. Erica could be an engineer as well, but instead she chose accounting. Erica's flight took off around 4 p.m., so she arrived at the airport a little after 12 in the afternoon. Once she got her flight ticket, she went to sit down in the designated area. She received some incredulous stares from those around her as if they could not believe that this quaint old woman could have afforded such an expensive flight. Erica knew they were glassing over at her, but she did not pay attention. She had learned how to deal with these kinds of individuals her whole life, especially in. Erica used to hear that to truly enjoy her time in college, she had to split her time between studying and partying. But if she had to be honest, she didn't see what good that would do in her first year of college. She used her extra scholarship money to get the best textbooks, journals, and tools to get ahead this way. Her parents wouldn't berate her in the first few months. She had trouble adjusting to the new curriculum and schedule. It was totally different from her public high. There were no necessarily 8 straight-hour school days in college. Students had to balance internships, clubs, programs, and classes. Erica worked to the bone to make sure she didn't get left behind to make it more stressful. Her college was a PUI, meaning that more than half of the student population was white. Back then, it was uncommon to see a brown woman attend college. Erica would get stares from around the campus, but now in this airport, it only got more tea. When they were called to stand in line and board the plane, she felt the stares burning into her back. Once again, a middle-aged man tapped her shoulder from behind. Erica turned and asked what was wrong. "This is first class," said the man as he pointed at the plane outside the large window. Erica responded by showing him her ticket. "I know, I bought the ticket myself." This was her very first flight on an airplane, but she was not. She could read and speak both Spanish and English. However, it would be a lie if she said she did not feel nervous that she walked across a small tunnel and into the plane. It was a lot louder than she expected. Not the people, but the engines. It unsettled her. Men was never meant to fly. As Erica crossed the aisle seats, she was stopped by her fairly young blonde woman. She somehow had 3 children accompanying her despite how expensive the tickets. Without permission, the woman harshly grabbed Erica's shoulder and said, "Hello." "Hey." Erica was surprised but kept her calm. She shrugged the hand from her shoulder. "Yes, you shouldn't be here." The woman then proceeded to urge Erica back down the aisle. "Go ask the flight attendant to help you." Mrs. stepped away from the woman. "My seat is right over there." "No, no. This is first class. Me and my children are supposed to be here." "You." Erica corrected her purely out of annoyance. "It is my children and I, not me and my children." The woman furrowed her eyebrows and jerked her head back. "Excuse me. That was unnecessary. You don't say that to me, Mexican. I've known English all my life." "I'm sorry, but I'm not Mexican." Squinting her eyes. The woman gazed at her skeptically. Emily continued. "I was born and raised in America." "You are lying. Look at you. You're alt brown. Why else would you be on a flight to Mexico?" 2 of the women's children snickered behind her. The children looked to be about 10, 13, and 16. It hurt Erica to see what the future leaders would turn out to be, but it wasn't their fault. Erica could have ended up like that too, if she had this woman as her mother. It was all a matter of chance. Erica chose again to ignore the woman's ignorant statements and said, "I would like to sit down." "Now if you..." "No, you're not. Stop making a scene and exit the plane." By this point, this entitled woman had caught the attention of the flight attendant. She approached him and asked if there was a problem. Erica firmly stated that the woman was blocking her from getting to her seat. The woman insisted that she wasn't the right. Eventually, the flight attendant went to get the captain from the flight deck. This kind of behavior wasn't uncommon. It usually occurred in the supermarkets or especially around individuals who have never been exposed to other cultures. However, there were a few notable gems like her ex-husband Matt. After earning her bachelor's in accounting and a minor in business management, Emile was quickly able to find a high-paying job for the next decade. She would jump between a few jobs until she settled in a large banking company there. She would meet her future husband, Matt Evans, who was one of several lawyers hired to help expand the company nationwide. Erica and Matt resided in different parts of the building, but they would occasionally see each other, be it in the parking lot lobby or the various staff rooms. Matt was the first to initiate a conversation as they waited outside the owner's office. Erica's parents were to say the least satisfied with her choice of a partner, a lawyer. "You say, how lucky her mother would exclaim proud. Until now, her family would tread water as they lived in the country. But now that Erica was an accountant and she was due to marry a lawyer, they were looking forward to good times ahead. That wasn't necessarily the case. However, Erica and the woman stood there in awkward silence to the children, chose to gaze outside through their window while the youngest looked at Erica's close. The 10-year-old stared for a little while. Eventually, he said, "I like your bracelets." This compliment warmed Erica's heart. They're called Ojo bracelets, supposed to protect you from harm. The child smiled and asked if he could have one. Erica glanced over at the woman, but she didn't seem bothered by it. She was probably going to sell it as soon as they got off the plane. Nevertheless, Erica offered him one. She gave him a bright red bracelet and tied it as much as she could around this small wrist, just enough so it wouldn't slip. It was a surprise seeing the captain appear from the flight deck. Apart from Erica, he was one of the only people with darkest skin. Not only that, but his complexion looked familiar. She couldn't quite place her finger on why he had a square face resembling hers, but also eyes that didn't. The familiarity that came from the man instantly brought a millionaire comfort, as the flight attendant had done before. The captain also asked if there was any. The woman re-explained the situation, all the while Erica tried her best to defend herself despite the woman's hysterics. Or maybe because of it, the captain seemed to take Erica aside. He told the woman that if she didn't calm down, then he would have to kick her out of the plane along with her children. This simple threat shot the woman up. She shook her head disappointingly and sat down in her. The captain escorted Erica to wreck receipt and apologized for the woman's behavior. He said that those kinds of rude people aren't that common nowadays. Once she was seated, the conversation took a turn. The captain examined Erica before asking, "Were you born in the city?" "Yes, sir." "Born and raised any children?" Erica stayed quiet for a moment, then she shook her head. She didn't feel it necessary to mention a personal struggle so blatantly. In fact, she did have a child decades ago. Erica's water had broken in the middle of the night. Man had quickly taken her to the hospital. She was in labor for 3 hours. It hurt to hear the nurses say they had to wait for her to be more dilated. At that point, Erica just wanted to curse everybody out. Nevertheless, she stayed as polite as she could muster, and finally she gave birth to her son. It was all well. At first, her parents were excited to see that they had a grandson. However, around the week after he was born, the doctors noticed something off about his health. They took Chris away from Erica and into the NICU. Erica would soon find out that her son was experiencing some kind of organ failure for weeks. He would stay in the hospital even after Erica had been discharged. She was persuaded by her husband and parents to stay home and recover some more, to take it easy. Matt would focus on work and take your mind off it, her father would say, and so Erica did. She strode headfirst into her work and put all her trust into her family, knowing that everything would turn out all right, and that the sickness was just a fluke. However, Erica, as she was getting ready to head home from work, would get the terrible news from her husband: their son Chris had passed away. This single call would alter the trajectory of her. Erica suddenly quit her job and spent hours upon hours in her bed, debilitated with a depressed episode. Matt tried to tear her up, but it was futile, and once would pass. Then another, then another. It was near the end of the year when Erica would begin to recover. She found a new passion for coin collecting. She'd go through hundreds of coins and group them by year as if she was a druggie, experiencing withdrawal for a little while. She also got heavily into Emil was not the best at it, and the paper cuts were not something to look forward to, but it did bring her some sort of solitude. Matt Evans and her tried again and again, but it seemed that Chris was a true miracle since Erica was never able to conceive again. The kids of trying to rebuild her life would lead her to a divorce. Not only that, but it managed to reconcile with her long-lost goal to visit Mexico, and that's why she's here now. It's just that you look similar to this photo. The captain reached into a span's pocket and pulled out a folded paper. What Erica saw shocked her to her core. It was an alt wedding photo, the only photo she had of herself as an adult. In it, she held a bouquet of bright, colorful flowers with Matt holding her waist. They looked so happy. The captain continued to surprise her by saying, "Those are my parents, my biological parents. The photo was given to me by the adoption center." Erica stared up at him. Her mind took a few seconds to process what he just said, and she struggled to think of what to say. If what he's saying is true, then say, "What is your name, hun?" She asked. The captain laughed and held up his ID. "Well, my name is Jack. Jack Peralta." "Oh, but up till I was around 5, it was Chris. Chris Amelia." "Chris Evans," the captain smiled. "Yep." These days, Erica Maloney rarely ever feels genuine happiness. She and Matt never speak anymore. Actually, Erica didn't even know if he was alive, and her parents have both definitely since passed. Erica organized a funeral all by herself. It was quite a hefty pay, but her parents firmly stated that they wanted the best of the best caskets, so, however, this very moment in the plane makes up for all the years he had spent in sadness. She at first only shook her son's hand, but after a minute she proceeded to hug him. They stayed like that for a few minutes, so how could he be alive? Erica vividly remembers the moment her husband said that he had passed into replacing her mind constantly. The mere facts are rather. Chris did indeed have some form of organ failure, which was caused due to undiagnosed coagulopathy. A condition where the blood's ability to clot is impaired, leading to excessive bleeding, but going against information Erica received. Chris did not die. He recovered. Erica's deceased parents told a different story. They did not want to be associated with a sickly child, especially if it will cost them unnecessary expenses for treat. Thus they roped in Matt, her ex-husband, along with the charade, and told Erica the false devastating news of her son's passing. Chris, or brother Jack, was given up for adoption. He spent half a decade in an adoption center before finally getting brought in by a loving couple who already had 2 children. That's when his name was changed to Jack Peralta. And if Erica had to be brutally honest, she thinks it was for the best that he didn't stay. Matt wasn't that caring of a husband, and her parents, well, they were not the best at showing emotions other than disappointment or anger. "You're doing okay now?" Erica asked. "Oh yeah. I remember when I was 11. I got a giant scar after tripping while playing T. I take vitamin pills now and regularly go to the doctor." Amelia wanted to spend more time with her son, but she knew he had work to attend to, so she kept her mouth from talking too much else. "It'll slip out." She understood the importance of hard work. The captain glanced back, the flight attendant who was in the process of closing the plane's door. All the passengers were already in their seats ready for the flight to take off. The only person standing was the captain. "You know, when we land, we can spend some hours together I have to get back in the plane." Erica smiled a little wider than she should have had, which was Spanish for very good. She had always felt awkward with expressing emotions, be joy or grief. It always felt too much, too unnecessary. Jack responded solemnly. "Sorry, I don't know. Spanish will fix." Erica and her son, now named Jack, walked down the streets of Mexico together. They took in the gorgeous scenery as well as the local food vendors selling flautas tacos, tortas enchiladas, and even pep from Guatemala. Erica was already accustomed to these dishes, but seeing her son's reactions to the delicious food made her extremely happy. But that's when she began thinking of the photo. How did he? Back in a hotel. Erica asked him that question she had on her mind. "The photo," Jack responded. "I heard from my godfather that the photo came from a man. He didn't identify himself, but he looked to be around his 30s, maybe even older. Erica folded her arms over her stomach in an attempt to consolidate herself. She had a feeling for who it was. Did this man have blonde hair? Oh, yeah. And a striped. Well, my godmother did mention something about his attire. I think it was his sneakers that bothered her so much. It didn't match his suits. He said. Jack proceeded to laugh, but all Erica felt was dread. If this is true, then she'd have to make a pretty charged phone call to a certain retirement hall. Matt Evans, her ex-husband, used to joke about his chances of ending up at a facility for the elderly when he got older. Before I did, he'd say you would have to be a fancy. And Erica knew exactly the one he would choose if he was still alive. That is, once her son left for his own room, Erica dialed a number for the Green Rock Assisted Living Facility. She knew the number since Erica had constantly been told by her parents that they wanted to be moved there, but she did not have the money at the time. So every day she would memorize the number up until she had financial stability, but that day would arrive too. Her parents passed away before it could happen. That memorization hasn't gone to waste because now Erica could use it to confront her ex-husband's lie. Help please. The operator said over the line. A minute later, Erica heard Matt's voice. It had aged considerably and he knew it. Yep. This is Matt Evans. What do you want, Erica? I just want to catch up. The other side went quiet for a few seconds. She thought she had lost connection, but then Matt. No, you didn't. You haven't called in over 40 years. Why would you suddenly call now? Well, what if I told you I was dying? Then this call is a waste of your time. Erica shifted her feet in annoyance. I guess it is quite good. I'm not dying at the moment. You know who I ran into today? No. And frankly, I hate guessing. Chris, your son. Our son Matt, went quiet for a considerable amount of. Erica could only guess what was going through his mind. Sadness, shame, disappointment. What she did not expect to hear was an empathetic, "How is he?" He is good. Erica bit her nails. She hadn't done it since she was 9. Great. Actually, despite the abandonment silence passed between them, Erica waited to hear some sort of eruption of joy or tears of happiness, but none came. Instead, he stayed. Eventually Erica aggressively said, "Malto. Do you not realize how hard it was for me? Why didn't you say anything?" Why Matt didn't hesitate to retort with, "He would have been even harder to keep that boy. He was sick." Erica, you really wanted to carry around a sick child who could die any second. Erica tried to keep her voice from yelling, partly due to the fact that it hurt to do. My son's life should not have been devalued because of his sickness. I carried them for 9 months so I could meet and care for him. How could you take him away from me like that? It was no me, woman. Your parents as well. They were the ones who proposed the idea to me. Erica wiped the tears from her face. You are lying. Stop passing the blame. A different voice could be heard faintly talking to Matt from the other side. Moments later, Matt would return to the. I'm sorry, Erica, but I don't have time for this. I wish it could have been different. I really do. He hesitated before asking, can I talk to him? Erica was about to snap her phone shut, but then she thought about it. If she kept her ex-husband away from contacting their son, then how can she act like she has the moral high ground with an exasperated sighs? Erica informed him she would provide the number for the facility, but made sure to remind him that she wouldn't be exaggerating what he had done. He argued that it was unjust, but Erica disagreed and ended the call. It is ultimately up to her son on how to deal with the information he had received. Erica's tears were wiped as soon as she heard a knock at her door, knowing that his life belonged solely to him and no one else. Chris Jack had heard a quarrelsome voice coming through the wall, so he came to check on Erica. It was obvious that she was shocked after being confronted with an unpleasant truth. She had difficulty grasping the situation. Regardless, it was there. It was placed smack in the middle of our hotel room. Is that right?